And you guys are going to get a notification that says, I got it. Okay. All right. So when we were kids, we always thought that the moon, when it would fill up, it was like, oh my God. And we heard all kinds of stuff when we were little kids. And for us, it was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then we wouldn't remember until it would be full all over again. And that's okay, because and we heard all kinds of stuff that our friends used to tell us, some of it which was just a whole bunch of crap because they had their own take on what was going on. But moon, when we look at the moon, there's a lot of magic, a lot of magic. Whether you are a witch, whether you're a shaman, whether you're a healer, whether you are just enjoying what the moon makes you feel inside. It is directly associated or connected to your heart. And as we move forward, you guys are going to start realizing how the moon, you have an aspect in every part of the moon's movement. So what is moon magic? Well, moon magic is directly associated with the moon. So what is it? Well, there's a common belief system, and many cultures use rituals and ceremonies at the time of different phases of the moon. Now, some of us are used to doing ritual and all that only when there is a new moon and a full moon. But did you know that every aspect of the moon carries its own weight in the magic that it represents? What it is that is happening to the moon. And really, it's not the moon that's filling up. It is the reflection of the sun and the earth in the middle of that moon that makes it fill up and not. So depending on the different phases of the moon, different physical and psychological changes or shifts or even transformations happen, right? Historically, there are rituals that occur during full moons and new moons, like we talked about. But these practices are very common to the neo-pagan and the witchcraft systems, such as those of the Wicca. But guess what? Solitary witches, woohoo! They practice and they do rituals with different parts of the moon. As a matter of fact, we don't waste any part of the moon. So we're not only working with the full moon and then the new moon, but we're working with every one of them. This goes back to the Greek and Roman literature that you can trace this back to, especially from Thessaly. And even they, while they would draw the moon, and this is a thing, drawing the moon into your spell, drawing the moon into your healing, drawing the moon into your desires, depending on what it is, the paper you're using. Is it papyrus? Is it the very thin paper? Is it, you know what I mean? It all depends on what kind of, and I'm going to call it a spell because that's what a lot of people understand it as, but a spell is really an intention. So as we are evolving in the spiritual aspect, I want to start reminding everyone that spells are really intentions. A lot of people use spells and it's like, oh, she's a witch. Oh, well, we all are. So, I mean, even if you're a healer or whatever, we all are. So it's just what it is that we're doing. And as long as we use Mother Moon as something positive to heal, to bring up positive energies, positive rituals, nothing that will bring down anybody's energies, then everything is good. There's nothing wrong with it. So, what is moon magic, right? Like I said, it's not so much spells and witches and witchcraft. Um, but it's more of the type of magic that you can uh that you can use. It's there every single day. It's there, and again, I want to touch on, it's not just the full moon and the new moon. It's all the phases of the moon. Each one of them have and give you the capacity to work with the moon to get to the goal that you want to get to. When you use all the phases of the moon, what you are desiring, what your intentions are, actually get helped along. All right. Now, our ancestors were one of the very first ones that understood all the magical powers of the moon, and of course planets and how they're positioned and all that. Because if you want to go back to your ancestors from the beginning of time, then there you go. Because in the good book, hey, you use your lunar cycle to do what? To sanitize your planting ground, when to water, when to plant. So yeah, it's a lot, and it has to do with promoting life and good energy, right? It comes, the magical powers that the moon has comes in many forms, and it takes place in so many traditions all over the world. But guess what? It's not only that. Any planet, any galaxy, any parallel universe, if you are already in that enlightened environment, if you have ascended to understand quantum physics in our parallel universe, then you understand that the same thing happens everywhere else. Okay? No matter where you are in the galaxy or which galaxy it is you're in. Moon magic is just simply the lunar energy and the moon cycles that empower. For some of you, it'll be spells, but it empowers, yeah, it empowers spells, it empowers intentions, it empowers desires, but it empowers you, your journey, your movement, your desires, because you want to learn how to use it right, right? So, again, a lot of people use, oh, the intention of the full moon. Okay, well, we're going to learn how to harness every single um, moon phase so that you can actually get to do what it is that you need to do right. Sometimes it takes more than once of one moon cycle, maybe two moon cycles, maybe three moon cycles. Then you have to sit down and meditate and see, well, why isn't it all happening? Well, there could be many reasons. And one of them is your desire going to hurt somebody or something? That's the biggest roadblock that anybody can go through. That's why it's important to start with ourselves. Now, the moon phases involve three bodies of our solar system. It's the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon. So we're here on the Earth, right? I don't know about you, but I don't think this is an illusion that I'm on Earth. Do you? Because I keep hearing, oh, this is such an illusion. I don't know if there are things that we're actually physically working through. I don't know, but I would think that, yeah, we're physically here. So I wanted to make that sure. Hold on just a second. I'll be right. Someone's knocking at my door. Okay, so can everybody hear me and see me? Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we're here on Earth, right? We do spin on our axis, right? And the Earth makes a 360-degree rotation every almost every 24 hours, right? So in 12 hours, we got day, 12 hours, we got night. So that's your 24 hours, right? But we're not only orbiting that way, we're not rotating that way, we're actually orbiting the sun, but in a yearly transit. So while the Earth is rotating for 24 hours, the 360 degrees, we're actually at the same time orbiting the sun in a yearly transit. So here comes the moon, right? What does the moon do? Well, the moon orbits the Earth and it has its own path, right? So what happens? Well, it makes a full cycle about every 29.5 days. Okay? So the sun is in the center of the solar system, right? And it looks like it's stationary to us. I mean, everything that we've been shown on TV, on the History Channel, on the Science Channel, all over, it shows that the sun is actually stationary, and the sun, right, is the center of our solar system. Okay, so it seems stationary, but not. It's moving as well. So the entire solar system orbits around the center of the actual Milky Way galaxy. Hello. So the sun just moves very, very slow, but there is movement nonetheless. Okay. So the radiant heat and light of this sun actually shines 24/7 and gives us daylight and moonlight. Okay, because depending where we are, right, between the sun and the moon, that is how we're going to perceive the different phases of the moon. So the moon actually moves in line with us. It moves in line with you, it moves in line with me, it moves in line with the whole orbit that we have. Okay, so it has a rhythm, it has a cycle, right? But not only does it have a cycle, it has a cycle that works with our bodies. It has a cycle that works with harvesting. It has a cycle with the growth of plants and trees. It has a cycle that has to do with overall life, and it has a cycle with our planetary water system. Yes, and all those things give life. Mother Moon. That is one of the reasons why she's considered Mother Moon. All right. Now, the this this connection that we have, right? We for, from the beginning of time, um, we actually celebrate as we monitor moon phases, and then we honor the waxing, we honor the waning of the moon, right? When when the moon is pulling the tides, we say thank you. The fullness and the emptiness with and without, we do the same. The moon is actually the closest uh, body, planetary body, to us here in the Earth. So it has a very, very strong influence magnetically with us, right? And we all know that depending on the moon depends on the ocean, the tides, and all that beautiful stuff. And it it's 24/7. So what would happen if we didn't have the moon? What would happen if the moon would suddenly like disappear and we wouldn't have it? Well, there would be a void. And most probably uh we would have a day that would be about eight 8 days long, 8 hours long, and less than 1,000 days in a year. Okay, less. I mean, greater than 1,000 days in the year. So the moon is actually the reason why we have eclipses, either solar or lunar. It is because of the moon. What is it that the external force of the moon does for us here on the earth? Well, it stabilizes the earth. We get a 23.5 degree axial tilt. Why? Because we are preventing catastrophic shifts. Yay! We're still going through a little bit of science, isn't it? So existence on Earth without our moon would mean very, very dark nights that will last forever. All right. Now, when we talk about intentions or spells, right? Because a lot of people want to call them spells. We're working with a lot of energy. And the first thing you need to ask yourself, okay, do I really? Is this really mine? Do I really want to make this a spell, or can I make it a positive intention, right? Am I hurting anyone? Well, let's look at the waxing moon. The waxing moon is when you see, it's just like this, when you have the waxing moon like this, right? Money, what works with that? Money drawing, increasing stuff, making progress, developing talent, and overall goals. What? Yeah. If you put all those things together and on a waxing moon, you work on those specific things. You draw your moon, right? And you literally listen to your intuition and your spirit guides and your angels and everything that's around you to actually create a nice little package that you're going to offer. Maybe if you're in the shaman faith, you want to offer a despacho in the waxing moon. For what? To draw in money, to increase something positive in your life, to make more progress than you are at this moment. See what I mean? You can use the waxing moon for that. The full moon, everybody knows, oh, I'm going to go charge my crystals. That's normal. People say, oh, the major spell work, major intentions, huge intentions that you create with a huge undertaking of energy. That is what you do on the full moon, but there's work to be done. Okay. You want to raise your power, you do it on the full moon. You want to do any wishing type of magic, you do it with the full moon. Healing, beautiful. If you have a coven, that is when you do your work. Now, waning moon. I love the waning moon. You know why I love the waning moon? The waning moon is the other side of the moon. The waning moon I use, and everybody uses, for weight loss. You want to lose weight? Create your intention. Start your desires. Ask the waning moon to help you with weight loss. Anything you want to eliminate, you're going to eliminate it with the waning moon. Anything that you need to cleanse, you do it on the waning moon. Why? Why would you do it on the waning moon? And what would you do on a waning moon? Well, if you're doing cleansing, you're doing banishing, and you're doing things to move on from something or someone that is not helping you, or it's not giving you the highest amount of frequencies, you work on the waning moon. All right. The dark moon. Yes, the dark moon. There's a lot of divination, a lot of oracle readings that you can do, a lot of energy that you can bring in, a lot of dream work that you can, on a dark moon, elicit by before going to bed, asking for the divine or your energies or your helpers to give you dreams that are going to guide you towards your next move. New beginnings. Hello. That's what the dark moon is all about. It's a new beginning. And here is where we start setting intentions. Here's where we start setting intentions, because then comes the waxing moon, right? And so on and so on and so on and so on. So it's important to know that. So let's look at the new moon. Let's look at the new moon, right? It's the last one we just talked about. The new moon is the beginning of the waxing phase. And of actually, it's the beginning of the whole entire cycle, right? So a new moon is when the moon and the sun come back together in the sky after completing a complete cycle. All right. It's like New Year's again, right? We're letting go of the old year, bringing in the new year. Well, there it is. You've got your new moon is part of that. Okay. The moon is dark, being infused with the light of the sun, but because that never goes away. The sun is the sun is the sun, and the light is always somewhere. We just don't see it from the earth, from this planetary spot at that moment. Okay. Well, guess what? This is the most potent time to start ideas and projects and all kinds of new beginnings. Why? Because the dark moon is full of what? Possibilities. Possibilities. Endless possibilities. Infinite possibilities. Right? Because, and especially when you don't really need to know how it's going to unfold. You don't care about that it's going to, how it's going to unfold. What you care about is that it is going to unfold. You just need to take the actions necessary during the cycle to actually continue making it happen. Feed it, energize it with each part of the cycle. All right. This is where you set your most wonderful and highest frequencied intention. But you have to base this. There go my neighbors again. How do they know that I'm always, that I'm, when I'm here and I'm doing a video? That's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, so this is when you set your highest frequencied intention, but you have to base it on your most deepest desires. But not only that, you actually need to release fear at this point in the new moon. And then here is where you actually have to rely on your faith, trust in your inner understanding, okay? And then push that energy without fear, without anything. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just, it's going to happen. But be very precise, okay, while you're doing that. Because remember, you're putting in your deepest desires in this. You're releasing all your fear, and you're actually going to work on faith. What faith? You don't care. The universe doesn't care. What is faith? Faith is what you believe is going to happen and how it's going to happen. That's why you don't have to worry about how is this going to unfold. No. You just need to know that it is going to unfold. But there is energy. There is work that you have to do when you put all that together. Okay. On a new moon, labradorite, black moonstone, iolite, tektite, obsidian, and clear quartz. You can actually use those to help you in your ritual. Guys, a ritual can just be you under the new moon in nature, on your backyard. And the biggest energy and the biggest magic, the biggest intention that you're going to draw in will be, you're going to be in the middle. You're going to be on top of Pachamama, or Mother Earth. You're going to be speaking directly to Mother Moon in her new moon cycle. What better magic than that? Keep it simple, because the simpler you keep it, the easier it is, the less muddled, the less stuff that you have. Well, maybe this didn't work because of this, or maybe I put in the wrong labradorite, or maybe I used the wrong clove. Oh my Lord, what did I do? Oh, keep it simple. Mother Moon is very simple. Her magic is very simple, very natural. So that is how she likes you to get presented to her. Okay. Then we have the waxing crescent. Okay. The waxing crescent. We have the new moon, but now the waxing crescent. All right. When Mother Moon is in her crescent phase, especially the waxing crescent phase, the moon is actually, it grows brighter, right? And it's one step closer to being full, right? What you started in the new phase, in the new moon phase, is going to then start taking shape. And we can see it by the picture that we can see when the moon is actually crescent, that waxing crescent. So we're looking at the waxing crescent right after we set up that powerful intention. And we are seeing how she's filling up with that intention that belongs to you. You did that. And now she's filling it up. What is she filling up? She's filling up possibility. She's looking, and I want you to think of it as a scientist that's computing all the possible formulas, because one of them is the one that's going to work for you. But like everything in the universe, everything is what? Is infinite. And if it's infinite, then there's an enormous amount of infinite. Oh, I got someone waiting. There's an enormous amount of infinite possibilities. Well, as the moon, the waxing crescent, you're seeing the waxing crescent. What do you do in here? You understand. You start seeing your magic is growing. That's it. She is filling up. Yeah, she's going to fill up anyway. But you need to put in that energy. Well, this is where you see that she has taken a commitment to your intention, and now it's working. So here we got time, we got effort, we got determination that is now taking root in the waxing crescent, right? And the waxing crescent is the one that holds on to a very strong foundation, because after the waxing crescent, we go into the first quarter. Okay, so she's never going to stop. Therefore, you cannot stop your desires. This is a very common problem. Oh, put it together, leave it for the moon to take care of as it fills out. No, ladies and gentlemen, this is not what you do. You don't just leave it to the waxing moon or whatever moon. You don't leave it to the moon to do the work. The moon needs you and your energy and your frequencies and your commitment in order for her to continue doing the work. Because if it's at one point you let it go, then she's going to think, oh, well, she changed her mind. And then that energy that you're projecting towards her, it diminishes. So things don't go according to plan most of the time. So this is a relationship that you build with Mother Moon. What it is that you desired, you're watching it grow, get birthed, and grow in her womb. How awesome is that? Because you are the umbilical cord, all right, of her womb for that desire that you want, that intention that you want, while you're grounding to the earth, the other mother that is helping you with those energies. All right. So the process, even in the waxing moon, waxing crescent, in the waxing crescent, it's really in the early stages. So right about when you start seeing the waxing crescent, you're still in that kind of a doubting stage. Well, did I do everything right? Did I forget anything? Let that go, because that's the last thing that you need to follow that string of desire that you're giving the waxing crescent moon. Okay, so what is it that happens when you start going back to your old beliefs, your old patterns? Well, it blocks your desire. It blocks the energy. Remember how I said you're the umbilical cord? Well, the energy has to come from Mother Earth through you into the waxing moon, or any moon, or whatever moon cycle it is. See, I don't think, has anyone ever been explained this in this fashion? No, right? Okay. So I'm glad that I'm getting that that opportunity to do it. So you have to continue going forward, right? Because you want your desires, you want what it is that you're looking for, that you requested. You need it so that you can continue that energy. It's you that gives Mother Moon that energy as that umbilical cord between you and Mother Earth. All right. So how can you do that? Well, you can get Numite, you can get a rainbow moonstone, you can get an emerald, right? On the waxing crescent. You know what I like to do? When I'm doing moon magic, I get a big table. Then I draw, right? I draw, and this is outside in the back. Get a long table. Doesn't have to be a big table, could be one of those thin tables, right? You can get 3 pieces of wood and just make, 2 legs, and then the part in the middle, and you get each one of the moon's phases, and then you put these crystals there, or whatever it is. So it's a multi-altar for a moon journey, for your moon magic. And then you stand at that, let's say it's the waxing crescent. I'm standing at the waxing crescent altar, because each one, I give them an altar, and that there I have my rainbow moonstone, my emeralds, and other Numite. Numite is very nice. And I do my projection of energy to the waxing crescent, and my ritual, and my incense or Palo Santo, whatever it is. Even if I want to do another despacho, I do little small ones for each one of them. But this depends on you. It's what you get in your intuition. Okay. Let's go to the first quarter, because that one's interesting. Now when the moon is in the first quarter, she's actually half full, right? You're going to see that she's really bright. And you can, if you look really well, you can see the other side. You can see the other side of the moon. You're like, oh my God, you can see things in a very small. Remember, it's just where the sun is reflecting off of that this is happening. It isn't that she's really inflating. A lot of people truly believe that it's because she's inflating, and that's not necessarily true. What is inflating is your own energy. Okay, so this is halfway of the process, right? And what is happening to your intention? It's actually halfway mark of making your intentions start to unfold. Now they begin to unfold, right? And as they begin to unfold, let me put this closer. As they begin to unfold, you yourself start realizing, oh crap, little things start happening. And you're like, oh my God, I wanted this, and it looks like it's happening. This is not where you stop, guys. You have to continue. Like I said, moon magic, it's not a one-day thing. Oh, oh, no. Oh, there it is. Here goes. Okay, do your magic. No, you have to feed the moon to do it. All right. Once you've come this far, that you start seeing that things are moving along, and you're like, oh shit, here it goes. Oh my God, I see things happening. Don't stop. Okay. Now, this part of the moon cycle, this is why I say that I love this part of the moon cycle, the first quarter. It isn't that it asks. At this moment, it is demanding your full-hearted effort. This is what I say. You can't just put it in a piece of paper, guys, and throw it and say it's done. No, you are working alongside Mother Moon. You are bringing her and her energy into you, and you are sharing you and your energy with her. Here is where she is demanding your full-hearted effort. Now, you may not get everything you wanted the first time. Maybe. But you need to try. And then trial and error. She is going to tell you, well, you wanted a car. You didn't tell me you wanted a motor. Everybody knows that from me when I asked for a car, and I asked all the archangels, and here's my car, and no motor. It's not any different than with Mother Moon. Well, you said you wanted a car. Yeah, well, you didn't say you wanted a working car, dude. So you got the car. Now you got to do the rest. And this is what I'm trying to say. You have to be very precise. You have to work with the moon in your moon magic. All right. Now, these visions that you started to work on, right? That you began in the new moon, actually get to its peak in the first quarter. That's why I don't understand just playing with new moon and or celebrating or working with just new moons and full moons, when the first quarter is so important, because this is where you're going to get to the climax of the energy, the work, the formula that you put together to work with Mother Moon in your intention. Right? This is the most creative part of your moon magic. This is where you put on your big girly and big boy panties or underwear, okay? And you work hard for what you want. This is where you are going to see that based on the work that you're doing with either rituals or sitting down and having a conversation with Mother Moon, or maybe having a 2 or 3 despachos made, or it's work. It's work. All right. Presenting her with honey and parsley, and maybe feeding the ducks or feeding anything that her light usually shines on. Okay. This is work that you have to do. Okay. Because when you do work with her, especially on a first quarter, this is where you are going to start attracting more of what it is that you wanted to, that you set your intentions on the first, on the new moon. Here in my little table, I have my onyx, I have my jet, and I have my lapis lazuli. Those are the 3 that I use when it's a first quarter and I want this, to work. Those 3. You don't need anything fancy. And surely size doesn't matter. Okay, when we're talking about crystals, size doesn't matter. All right? It's still the same frequency. Okay, so we understand that part, right? So here we go into the waxing gibbous. the moon is almost full. You've seen it. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Is it full? Oh my God, the moon is full. No, and then you see that there's like a little sliver missing. All right. But it still means that the intensity is still more powerful than it was in the first quarter. The first quarter is where you reach the climax. This is where you work. This is, oh, yes, I'm doing it. Yeah. Right. But with the waxing gibbous, this is when it's almost full and it's growing intensity, the intensity of the moon, but also the desire that you have added to your spell. This is actually getting more powerful, right? But this is where you need to learn this. This is the last phase of the moon magic that you are working with to make the final changes before the final result is revealed. On the waxing gibbous, that's why she goes slow. This waxing gibbous is her saying, are you sure you want to go this way? She's going to do that. She's going to go, I think you need to look at what you're asking for and measure it against what's been happening around you and make your final changes. That also means if you don't want that to happen anymore, this is where you stop it. She gives you a choice whether you want to continue or you want to stop or you want to make a change. Who the heck lets you do that? Not a lot of people. This is what I remember when I was a kid. Well, isn't that what you wanted? Well, that's what you're going to get. But, no, I'll give you a but. Right? We all remember that. So, waxing gibbous phase is a very stressful time for witches, shamans, but also for the moon herself. Because sometimes the moon does see there's something wrong with what this person is asking for. And I don't see how this is going to work for this person and for the people around them. So it's very stressful, not only to you, if you feel like, oh shit, here it comes. It's also very stressful for her because she is ready to unveil a beautiful work of art that she put all her energies and your energy into. And she's saying, there's something wrong. Okay. So if you feel there's something wrong, by waxing gibbous is the time that you have to be able to say, you know what, let me change this. Maybe I don't want to quit. Maybe I just want, or maybe I don't want to be promoted to the second floor. Yeah, that didn't work out for the last person. Maybe I just want to stay put. And maybe they can give me a raise where I am. Okay. You can do that in the waxing gibbous. That's the only time you're going to, because this is where you and Mother Moon are going to take your focus, your details, and your adjustments, and then bring all that energy together. And it's going to work. So in the waxing gibbous, this is where we bring out the fluorite, the carnelian, the citrine. Now you see why you bring those in? The carnelian, the fluorite, and the citrine. That's where you bring those in. Because here is where we're going to sit and we are going to meditate in the waxing gibbous. And we're going to go through everything that we have done up to now. And not only that, is it going to be not only good for me, but is it going to hurt anybody else? Here is your last chance to make any changes. Now, Be warned. Any change, that's why you don't want to have to make changes. You want to get it right the first time. Be warned. Any changes you make did not have the opportunity for the first quarter to maximize that energy. But it certainly is giving you a way to minimize anything that was going to happen that was not going to work. It's going to minimize it. But if you want to cancel it, there's an awful lot of work you're going to have to do during that waxing gibbous. And of course, here comes the full moon. We're not done. We're not done because we still have 3 more moon phases. Yes, there are 8. There are 8. When the full moon is full, she is glowing like a pregnant mama because she brings you everything that you desired, everything you wanted, right? It is the perfect metaphor to explain fulfillment, completion. It is the phase of manifestation. When the moon is new, you set intentions. When she's full, she is now birthing your creations into where? Into the world. Now, I want you to think about what that actually means, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, understand that once a celestial body has taken your desire, your wishes, your planning, your intentions, and manifested it, it is written in a timeline. It is written in the timeline of your life and the life of the world. So when she is full, she actually is birthing the creation that you have worked with into the world, not only for you, but for everything and everyone that touches you, including atoms and electrons. Oh my, yeah, all that stuff. Whatever you were working with her is going to be revealed, and it's going to be in the spotlight. And everything and everyone is going to be aware of what it is. This is the ultimate culmination of results from the entire waxing cycle. So in the full moon, it's the time to kick up your heels and express joyful gratitude to the universe entirely and to yourself, because the universe had a part in it. And how do we celebrate? Go to my little station for full moon. I got a moonstone, selenite, and a quartz. Whatever quartz you want, whatever floats your boat, that's the one that I use. It depends on which one I find at that moment, because I have all my crystals. They're all together in a beautiful bowl. But it doesn't end there. Now we've got the waning gibbous. The waning gibbous. Okay. The waning gibbous began with a full moon. Okay. Now the moon is visibly receding. Right? First, the moon waxing comes to life, right? Fills up. Waning, it starts going away. Like, oh my God, what happened to the full moon? Yes, it's going back into, it goes into the waning gibbous until it goes back to the new moon, right? So this phase is called the disseminating waning gibbous phase. It is to remind you of the importance of sharing the results of your efforts with the world. How are your manifestations helping others and serving a purpose? See, you don't want to get to a waning gibbous and start thinking, how did my manifestations help others in serving a purpose? You needed to do that. You needed to think of that in the new moon when you set your intention, when you set your spells. There is no reason why in the waning gibbous you need to sit down and say, well, how did this help anybody? No, you better damn well know from the get-go that this is going to help other people, because there's no excuse knowing that this is not a real question in the waning gibbous, unless you know that it did help those that you set your intentions. Okay? So you take the creative effort from the waning phase that left some cleaning up to do, don't you? Here is in the waning gibbous, if you did not make the right decisions, the right intentions, this is where you take responsibility for yourself and your accomplishments. You then go into your inner wisdom in this cycle, and then you're going to anchor those energies. You're going to express gratitude to your elders, to the ancestors that helped you all this time. And you're going to continue asking for guidance as you gather more tools to begin the descent of the entire moon cycle, because what comes in also has to come out, right? Well, here's where you get your angelite, your unakite jasper. Oh my God, I love unakite jaspers. They're beautiful. And calcite. You can get calcite with you thinking, what have I done? Was it good? Yes. Was it not good? I take full responsibility and let me fix it. Now here comes the last quarter. This is where it's halfway, the half quarter. Let me see. It's not there. The last quarter phase is the waning half moon. Remember the waning, the waxing half moon? That first quarter, when it's filling up, that is the waxing. When it's filling out, like away, it's the waning half moon. Well, here we go. Here is where we need to be working on expanding our consciousness about who we are. What do you do in the last quarter? Here's where you meditate, guys. This is where you sit under the moon and you are saying, okay, I'm going to meditate with the moon. What have I created in this world for people? Has it been love? Did it include love? Did it include happiness? Did it include joy? And if it didn't, here's where you collude with the last quarter of the moon and say, well, I need help. If you don't know how to do it, if you don't know how to find it. And here's where your ancestors, they all come in and go, dude, I'm so glad you asked, because this is where you ask, right? So what they call the dying moon or the new moon is going to physically take over, because that's what happens in the new moon. A lot of people call it the dying moon. I don't like calling it the dying moon. But it's basically disintegrating the illusions of reality. And we begin to surrender to be reborn. Reborn into what? What's going to make us happy? What's going to make us, it's going to bring us joy and happiness? What's going to bring us abundance? Okay. The last quarter moon reflects these particular moments when you can actually see the bigger picture. The last quarter moon, remember, is where you get a different point of view. In the shaman world, you fly to that part of the moon, get the closest to the moon to see things from a bigger picture with the mighty eagle. Okay, there's so much potential that you are going to be able to willingly let go of old attachments and make room for the future. So you see here how there's so many phases to the moon. So in the last quarter, this is where you let go of old attachments, where you make room for the future, because the new moon is coming, and that means it's going to be reborn. So you get a brand new slate. And these are the moon magic. This is the magic that you can create with the moon. What more beautiful magic than this? That you understand every phase and how to use it. It's not just the full moon and the new moon. No, not by any means. Okay. Here's where I bring the rose quartz, the bronzite. Not a lot of people know about bronzite. It's not very easy to find. I need to ask my sister if she can find me some more bronzite. And solidite. Okay. Because what are you doing in the last quarter? You're actually taking inventory about your life. Is this working? Is this not working? And if it's not working, I'm going to ask for help. And I'm going to soar like the mighty eagle so I can see different points of views so that then I can make the right decision. Right? You'll be able to let go of old attachments, stuff that you don't need. So you can make room for that new moon to begin again. That's why it says it's going to take more than one try, because you're still going through the waning gibbous. Did this help anybody? Did I do this right? You still going through that waxing gibbous. This is actually one of the most stressful. Why am I going through? Oh, I'm going to need to adjust this, or, call them off. Call them all off because it's not working. It wasn't a good idea, right? Well, here comes waning gibbous. Well, how can I fix it? You got cleaning to do. Waning gibbous, it's always some cleaning up to do. All right. Okay. Waning crescent. This is the last one. The waning crescent. Now, if you thought that there was powerful magic in beginnings, there's even more powerful magic in endings. Because it also is the birth of beginnings. When Mother Moon reaches the waning crescent, she is at the end of her entire cycle. Here's where we release what isn't needed, because we did what? We went back to the last quarter and we verified, oh, this didn't work. This is not going to happen. Well, I see the bigger picture. I'm up there with the eagle. I'm seeing what I got to do. Here comes the waning crescent. This is the time to release what I said that was not needed. And I'm letting it go with grace. With grace. So that energy can get to where it needs to get to and get transmuted into something better. If you hold on to something, then let it go in anger, it's not going to go where it needs to go. It's going to hang around because it doesn't have direction. So you want to let go of things that don't work with you or for the people around you with grace. So they carry that energy that's going to actually take it to where it needs to go to in that powertrain of grace so that it can transmute. All right. You are going to find that even though there's the emptiness ahead in the new moon, that you this time around need to be entirely present. And you're going to remember that whatever empties shall once again fill when you're in the waning crescent. Okay? In this phase, people say this is where the veil grows thin. I got news for everybody. There is no veil. There has never been a veil. Surprise! There's never been a veil. The reason why there has never been a veil, is because the veil was used to control how much spiritualism and how much divinity we could attain. We have never been removed. We have always been here. The veil is just an illusion. That is the illusion. The reason why people say the veil has thinned, they have not realized yet there has never been a veil. We are just ascending to a point where there is no veil. There never was, never will be. We are ascending, and the more we ascend, the more we evolve, the more we see better, and is no longer opaque for us not to be able to see. But there's never been a veil. But I can't tell you that. Okay. And I did it. Okay. So what happened? All right. So the veil grows thin, right? Making it easier for you to receive messages and signs. What makes it easier for you to receive messages and signs? For you to awaken, to stop the resistance, and to elevate and ascend. That's not a veil. Sorry. Okay. So, when we actually take comfort in our faith, whatever faith that is, it doesn't matter. All right. And we start honoring the darkness within and without, you discover your biggest existence. I'm not talking about darkness. No, we're talking about just like Mother Moon has her dark stage, so do we. We have darkness in us because without darkness, there could never be light. Okay, so, and were we not all in darkness when we were in our mother's wombs? I don't think they had light bulbs or LEDs or even Christmas lights. I don't think we had those. But we were in darkness inside our mother's womb, and yet it was our mother. So what is it that we do in the waning crescent? Well, in the waning crescent, what we do is we start working in believing in ourselves that we can be the best version of what our Creator has created. To be so much like our Creator, because that is what we are, co-creators. And he himself took the world which was in dark, and he said, let there be light. Oh, God, yeah, he did say. So why would he say, let there be light? Because it was dark. And he did a great job, didn't he? And then he said, let there be water, let there be land, let there be this, let there be that. Okay, so if you take the waning crescent and you start understanding that this is the place where you begin to understand your truth of your existence, you are going to start understanding that you are part of the Creator, that you can create positive spells, positive intentions, positive manifestations, that you don't have to wait until that part of the moon to say, well, did I do this right? Oh, abort, abort, abort. You don't want that. And you don't definitely want to go back and say, oh shit, this didn't work for so and so, because the energies around you only know one thing: to love you and make, well, two things: to love you unconditionally and to make things happen based on what it is that you want. It's up to you to know if you feel crappy because it didn't work for somebody else. Don't go there. Be the co-creator. Think of everyone before. That's why we have eagles, to remind us to go to the highest of the mountain peaks, biggest of poo, longest and highest of poo ever. Look down. Look at the real picture before you make a decision. Love yourself. Give yourself and everybody else love and compassion. And the next time that you're going to work with Mother Moon, any moon magic, remember that you are the one ultimately in control, and you are the one standing between Mother Moon and Mother Earth, and you are the one that makes things happen. Waning crescent, I bring in black tourmaline, obsidian, That was one that took me forever to remember the word petalite. 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 And you put it on your little table, the long table, and this is the one that you use. All right. Now I'm going to open up. I hope that I didn't go over anybody. I'm not going to talk about eclipses today because that is an opposition of the full moon. When it opposes the sun, I want to eclipse magic. We'll talk on another day. I don't want to bring in too much information because this was a lot of information. 8 moon phases that you guys are going to have access to on in the group, because I'm going to put this in the group. It's just not just full moon and new moon. So I'm going to open up the floor for anybody at this time to ask any questions that you may have. Anybody have any questions?
Actually, I do. The waxing gibbous, say if for any kind of reason, like you said, if your prayer or ritual is not the something went wrong, like you said that you feel like something's wrong.
Right. Let me move.
What would be like a good way to like kind of like delete, rewind?
Absolutely. And that's a wonderful question, because how do you stop things? Well, you stop things by having a conversation. You stop things. If you did a physical spell that required a physical receptacle of some kind, maybe a jar or what have you, then you clean it off with either rainwater. Has to be rainwater, not not Dasani. Rainwater. You don't get a bottle of Dasani and put it under the under anything. You actually bring in that rainwater and use that rainwater to wash everything, and then you explain to Mother Moon why it is that you're dissolving the physical aspect of your spell. If it's not a physical aspect and it was a spiritual spell, a spell that you have here, an intention that you have here, then you just have a regular conversation with Mother Moon. You sit down, you cross your legs in a yoga position. Maybe you can put your hands in Gassho position because you want to give the reverence that Mother Moon deserves. Mother Moon is always there to listen to you. Mother Moon already knows if something is not going to work. Therefore, she's already waiting for you during the waxing gibbous, that you are able to, okay, she's going to come to me at some point and let me know. So the energy that she's putting into something that's not going to work is still not going to be there. She's going to get the parts that will work for you, but not everything that you were asking for is going to work. So what you do is you sit down, you meditate, and you say, Mother, I am so sorry. I thought that this was going to work, and this is not going to work. Can you please just help me, give me intuition on what it is that I need to do to make this change, to lessen the lesson that I'm going to get from doing this. Did I answer that, or do you want more?
No, that was great. That was great. I love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? That was a great question. Totally great question. Anybody have any questions about us, doing spells in any one of these? And again, spells are not spells anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. It's either a physical intention with a manifestation that follows, or just an intention. We don't use spells anymore. We've evolved a lot, and spells are no longer spells. And you bet your butt that whoever it is you're using for the spell, even Hecate, even bringing in Hecate for one of your spells, even she is going to be able to say, dude, that's not going to work. And you'll get dreams, and you'll get messages, you'll get information. If you're working with Morgan is huge. She's going to tell you This is not going to work right then and there because she does not have hair in her tongue. She will tell you exactly what she needs to tell you. But so will your angels. And yes, you can use angels for magic. It's just that you're going to hear, you're going to know ahead of time if something's going to work or not. And then you're going to make your adjustments. You want to make adjustments though. And that's the whole premise to moon magic, because it's always evolving. It's always working. When you work closely, if you're going to use moon magic, you have to put in the work. That's really what I wanted to bring to the table for today. Because it's a lot of people pay attention again to the full moon and the new moon, and it's not like that at all. You need to work with all the phases of the moon because they each bring an intensity that takes your magic request or your intention and takes it to the max and then brings it back down. Yes.
I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, but when I'm, depending on the type of day, usually in the evening if I'm calling on the moon, but maybe I'm just thinking or saying it wrong, but when I'm trying to draw up energy so that I'm not using all my own,
That's what you need to do.
I call in the heavens, and then I call in the, I actually, like I'm grabbing it. I call in the moon energy, and then I pull up from the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's how should be I using the form of the moon? I mean, or what phrase they're in, or it
Well,
doesn't really matter, or
if it's an intuitive request for you to grab the moon, even during daylight, it doesn't mean that the moon is not there. The moon is there. It's just that there's so much light we can't see it, right? So, but the moon is always with us. All right, it doesn't matter. And sometimes she shows us, hey, even though it's daylight, I'm still out here. You know, don't forget about me. I'm not only there at night. It depends. Look and see when it is, and this is really important. Look and see what phase you're being asked to pull that energy from the moon. What is it? Is it during the new moon? Is it during the waxing? Is it the first quarter? And then go look at the reasons why you would use the first quarter. Or let's say it's a waxing gibbous. Well, maybe it's something that you know is not perfect that you're working with. The waxing tells you that there's something powerful happening. So, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean when you're being asked to pull down the energy of the moon, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has anything to do with moon magic that you have started during a new moon. It could be that the new moon is saying, hey, or it could be the moon is in the waxing gibbous, is saying, hey, you need to focus just a little more on some details if you want some things to work out. So Mother Moon is going to talk to you in the different phases. It's your job to go in and say, well, what is it that the waxing gibbous brings me? Oh, okay. It says, well, I should be focused. I should look in the details. I need to rework things and adjust some things. Take that energy and say, okay, so why? What is it that I need to work in my life that the waxing gibbous is asking me to pull that energy from or for? And it's going to tell you what it is that you need to work on. If it happens randomly, it's Mother Moon saying, dude, go back and look where I am and get and pinpoint what it is that you need to learn and you need to fix. It's just like when we open up, when I get my bibliomancy, and that's another workshop I'm going to show again, and you just pick up This is bibliomancy. You get the book, any book, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the Bible. It could be any book, any novel, anything that you want to read. Like I love The Shores of Avalon. I don't know if you guys have read that. But when you read that and you just open up, anywhere that you open up, you're like, oh my God, that is a message for me. So if I were to open this guy right now and say, well, what is it that you want us to know about? Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Oh, the energy and fame of Solomon. What are we talking about here? Well, it's not Solomon, but it is energy that we are talking about. So somewhere there you put your finger and you say, oh, and you read it and you're like, oh my God. And here we are. There's a message for me for that day, right? So, you know, with the moon, when she tells you, draw from me, there's a reason. Look and see where she's at, because she's telling you something.
Okay.
Good question.
Thank you.
Because it's a different form of using moon magic. Yes, absolutely. Anybody else before I close? Everybody good? All right, I'm going to
I
close.
have a quick question.
Okay, yes.
Quick question. I've been taking notes. I'm not sure. What would you recommend, like to clear negativity and bring me positive? What moon phase would you consider? Like, would that be like more of a healing or of a cleansing?
Well, if you're gonna, if your intention, so what, okay, so let's start this way. What is your intention?
I'm
What is
just
the ultimate-
to clear negative energy, basically, and just to replace it, to just bring in more positive, to like to get rid of a weight off.
Get way to, okay. I would actually use the new moon for that.
The new
Because
moon.
the new moon, yeah, it is the most potent time to initiate new ideas, for projects and for new beginnings. And a cleansing, you're removing old stuff and you're starting a new beginning for new energies.
Mhm.
So you definitely want to, you definitely want that. It's because the waxing, I don't feel comfortable with the waxing. The first quarter you can also use,
Okay.
because it creates momentum in your cleansing.
Mhm.
The waxing gibbous is going to be already in its most powerful position. So depending on the intensity of the cleansing, you may want to take a look at that. The full moon, it's already, a lot of people use the full moon for cleansings and stuff like that. But this is really a phase of manifestation.
Yeah.
So when the moon is new is where we set the intentions for all the clearings. And then you do the work on every moon phase. So it's not just do that work on the new moon.
Okay.
So it's doing the new moon, right? You start
Mhm.
your intention, you get that going. Then it's going to come with the waxing crescent. When the waxing crescent is when you start seeing your intention for healing start taking place. Now the moon is filling up. So it's starting to bring in that healing and all of that healing. Unless you use Reiki or any other energy healing, when you're using the moon for healing, it is a slow process, but it's a very short one. You have to follow each one of the phases.
Okay. And after the waxing, I just want to make sure my notes were correct, is the first quarter, and then the
After-
waxing gibbous?
Yeah, the waxing gibbous, the first quarter, the waxing crescent. There's the waxing crescent and then the first quarter.
Then the first quarter, and then after the first quarter is the waxing gibbous?
Gibbous, and then
Okay.
the full moon,
full moon, and then I
Then
have
comes the waning,
the waning.
waning
Okay.
gibbous, then the last quarter, and the waning crescent. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
like fill and unfill. It just, one is waxing and one is waning.
Oh, okay. And what were can you, if you don't mind, repeat the crystals for the waning crescent for the last one?
For the waning crescent, let me look at the waning crescent. Let me look at my notes. Okay, we got the obsidian, the black tourmaline, and the petalite. Petalite.
Okay.
Petalite.
What was between the obsidian and petalite?
The black tourmaline.
Black torm. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. So
Oh, actually,
basically, it's not as easy as a lot of people think, right? It's
Yeah.
a lot of work. And it's
Mhm.
what I love about Mother Moon is she does to us what a good mother would do. Are you sure that this is what you want? You got more
Yeah.
time. Let's think about this. Are you sure? Are you sure? Well, I know that this is not going to work, so I'm going to put the good aspects that I know will work for you. And this is where people don't understand because they're set in their ways. No, this is what I want. This is not, believe me. And Mother Moon
Mhm.
and Mother Earth, they already know, and the energies around us already know when things are not going to work for us. They're not going to allow us to hurt anybody in that fashion, especially when we're using their energy, their divine energy, to make things work for us. They're going to stop the bad stuff. And we as human beings, we don't understand. We're like, oh my God. It's like, I'm going to have to go to a witch doctor. No, you don't. You have to do it again. But you have to think about why it didn't work. And this is how they teach us, our ancestors in a very different way. They're going, that was not going to work. You know why that was not going to work. You need to think about it. You need to move things around so it does work. So it's more than once. We have to do things more than once. Absolutely. Good question. Very good question.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any little magic you guys need? Because you guys can do this. Oh, good. All right. So I am going to close our circle. And I want you guys to put your hand over your heart just like this. And go ahead and give that heart chakra a beautiful, beautiful swing. Grab your heart and kiss me. And I'm kissing you back. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so, so much for allowing this moment of learning how to use Mother Moon. And it doesn't matter what religion you are, what faith you are, doesn't matter anything. What matters is that if you go into this in high frequencies, the energies that are around you are going to change polarity into positive photons. Those positive photons are going to attract other positive photons because photons attract photons. It just depends on the polarity that they're in. If you have negative photons, they're going to attract more negative photons. But if you have the power to switch them into positive photons, then those positive photons will bring in a lot more positive abundance, positive healing, positive energy, and everything you touch would be the Midas touch. And it's only because the energies around us are real. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. Allow them to help us. Allow them to change polarities into something positive. And once you radiate positiveness, the person next to you will as well. And so on, so on, and so on. And what we need here right now is a whole lot of love. So Open up those positive photons, let them flow. Remember that science is spirituality. We're all in this together. I love you.
Love you too.
I hope to see you soon again, okay?
Thank you so much, Mary. This was great. Very knowledgeable as always. Many blessings to everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Enjoy your day.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
awesome.
Mary, for everything. It was amazing.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
William.
Have a great Saturday.
You too.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Mama Mary. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.